Buckets coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name's Matt Moore. I'm senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your best bets and playoff futures outlook for Friday, April 25th in the association. We will go through the best bets on Friday, three games on the slate, including some must-win game threes for the teams facing pretty dire situations. We will dive into all those angles, props, sides, totals, the whole works on it. We'll talk about these games from a future perspective as well with two of the best in the business from MSG Network's Chicago Flow, Sean Little. Also joining us, Brandon Anderson, who I believe, how many articles on the NFL draft have you produced?
Just one, but it's, multi-thousand words, and there are more to come. We'll get the Rookie of the Year up and all that good stuff. It's a big day. NFL, NBA, it's like a Christmas. You get them both at once today.
And don't sleep on the NHL either, sir, because I do love me some NHL playoffs as well. Okay, let's get into everything that we're doing on today's show. Let's go ahead and get started, and let's talk about these game threes that we're facing on Friday. Three-game slate. You've got Celtics, Magic, Magic plus 5.5, Pacers, Bucks -5, notably. That's up from open. And Timberwolves are -3 in the market. I want to start. I don't think Celtics Magic is worth a lot of like big picture discussion. The Magic are not getting out of the series. Plus 2.5, I think, is on life support. I wouldn't be shocked if the Magic are able to get a game and maybe like make this live, so at least I can hedge out of it a little bit on the 2.5. But like, they just can't score. They just can't make a jump shot. We like the idea going in was, well, yeah, the Magic can't score, so they're gonna lose. But like in at least a few games, they'll make a jumper, and the answer is no. What if they just never made a jump shot ever? So I don't have a lot of confidence in that one. Pacers Bucks is an interesting one though. They get killed in both games. They fail to cover in both games. Heading to Milwaukee. And Brandon, there's two things I think that are really at play here. There's confirmation bias and there's recency bias. And I think both of them are pretty evident in this series where a team goes up 2-0 and everyone's like, how they're going to sweep them. How could they possibly compete with them? As if we've just never seen the NBA playoffs before. And I think that's the recency bias aspect. And then there's a confirmation bias, I think, because a lot of people just kind of expected, hey, the Bucks aren't any good. And like, I'll be straight up. I thought they would be better than they would. This is why I bet them to win the series. And I'm just like, you idiot. But this is like the definition. If you're gonna buy low, you get Giannis. Series price here is pretty freaking low for a team with Giannis. I get they're down 0-2, and those teams usually do not win the series. There's a very low chance of it happening. But Bucks are plus 370. What are your thoughts on Bucks Pacers as somebody who very smartly took the Pacers to win the series?
Yeah, after game one, I was feeling obviously pretty good about my bet because it looked great after one game, except that it was not really meaningful data point going forward because Dame was coming back, and that basically makes game one an irrelevant data point. Other than you got the win, you needed to get the win. It was kind of a must win knowing he's coming back. Now you have game two, and now it's like, okay, yeah, confirmation bias. Well, we pretty much got the same thing again. The Bucks are just terrible. The Pacers are better. Like, it's so easy to sort of tune out as it seems like the game is just getting away from them. Like, oh yeah, it's the same thing we're watching game one. This series is over. Get them out of here. The Bucks are over. Giannis is getting traded. Pull up the trade machine. Like, it's the thing we all do naturally. So it's easy to go there. Game two. So Halliburton really hasn't even been, I don't think, that great in either game so far this series. That was part of the cap coming in was Giannis has to be spectacular just to possibly win games. The Pacers can win even if Hallie's not that great. Here's what happened in game two, though. Halliburton was fine. 17, 5, 12 assists, 3 turnovers, though. A little bit high for him. They coast. Non-Halliburton Pacers go 13 of 26 on threes. 50% on threes from everybody but Halliburton. Nemhard, 3 of 5. Neesmith, 4 of 5. Every Pacer starter and Mathurin hits 14 points. Now, again, what's that mean? Oh, the Pacers are just better. They got the better roster. They got the better depth. They've got better guys around their stars. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we said that going in. But is that what we're seeing? Or is it like, well, Dame hadn't played for how many number of weeks and his conditioning is poor and he's playing 37 minutes and the shots aren't falling yet and That's what happens when guys come back. So, yeah, I think you're right that we have to be careful with talking ourselves into the thing we think was going to happen when it looks like it happened there. And, the old adage, the series doesn't start until the home team loses the game. Well, we know that's demonstrably not true. Matt, do you have the stat for what happens for the teams that are up 2-0 in a series, how often they go on to win? You got those numbers ready?
Keep talking and give me a second, and I'll pull it.
Okay. So yeah, it's high. You don't want to go down 0-2. Obviously, the most of the time, the team that's up 2-0 is also the better team. That's why they're up 2-0. They're also playing at home. That's part of why they're up 2-0.
Got
It
it.
again is not just like a free number to give out. You found the
The
number?
Yeah, so teams with home court advantage in the first round who go up 2-0 are 94 and 5 in that series at
Yeah.
95%. If you look at all series when the team goes up 2-0 with home court advantage, 285 and 23 at 93% of the time.
Do you have the game breakdown by chance, or can you grab that? That'd
I
be
do
like
have
how
the
many
numbers.
games does it go?
Do not. That I do not have. I wish we
Okay.
had a better database on that, but I do not have it. Sometime I will build one for some company, but not right now. Keep going, Brandon.
No, I mean that's the thing though. Like 95%, and that makes sense in the first round, right? Because who are the teams that are going up 2-0 in almost every case? Probably not like a 7 and 8 seed. These are the top 4 seeds at home, the teams that have been better for 82 games. And you're like, "Oh, okay. Oklahoma City is up 2-0. Yeah, they're probably going to win the series. Cleveland, Boston up 2-0. Probably going to win the series." Like those are three freebies for the stat that are just nudging it closer to 100%. Does that apply as much here? The Bucks are a lot better, even with their foibles, than some of the teams that those other guys are facing. So I'm taking a little nibble here. I'm coming off the top rope, right off the top of the podcast. We didn't get into the betting yet. I'm coming in hot with the bet. I think the Bucks could possibly be live here to push game three. They're playing for the franchise right now. You can't go down 0-3. Now you break out the trade machine, and now Giannis might actually be gone, and now it's all done. You got to win game three. Well, if you win game three, now you're one game away from evening it up. If you do that, now you got a best of three. And by the way, you have Giannis, who's averaging 35 and 15 so far this series. He's doing his thing. You have Dame, who shook off the rust, probably should play better now going forward. You have potentially the two best players in the series if Dame can match Hallie, who again is not playing that well yet. And you have maybe the two best players in any series in the East going forward. Look around the landscape. The Cavs look kind of beatable. The Cavs have been up for grabs against the 10 seed, really, Heat in the fourth quarter, both games. The Knicks are struggling. The Celtics are hurt. Tatum's not playing. Brown looked pretty good, but he's playing with a knee injury. Porzingis is already picking up injuries. Milwaukee Bucks are 100 to 1 to win the East right now. It's not going to happen. But could it happen more than 1%? Could it happen 2%? Like, that's crazy. Who cares about 2%? I do, because that means the price is off by double. That means it should be 50 to 1, not 100 to 1. I'm just nibbling a little bit. If suddenly the series turns around in the next like 3 days and it's 2-2, and now you got Giannis finally healthy maybe for a playoff run, and now you got Dame, and we know what Dame can do, you are not going to be mad to have a 100 to 1 ticket on the surging Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis, with Dame, with no defense, with no players around them. Notice I've said nothing about Kuzma and Prince and all the other guys. Bobby had a nice game too. We'll give Bobby some flowers. It's not going to happen. 100 to 1. Buy low on the Bucks.
Alternative there, because I took Bucks to win the series outright. Bucks to win game three, Pacers to win series is plus 115 at DraftKings. Little bit of a hedge. But the problem is just like if I lose, like I'm double dipping if the Pacers win game three, and then I'm just like, well, there's just chasing bad money with good. Or yeah. So that's not great. Can I just doc c- the Bucks in this series in which they have been outclassed, outperformed, dominated, destroyed are plus 4 without Kuzma. +4 without Kyle Kuzma. Do you want to go home or not, man? Like you're trying to keep Giannis.
May I make a counterpoint?
Yeah.
The Bucks are down 2-0. Do you know what that means?
What?
Doc Rivers cannot blow a 3-1 series lead in this series.
That's true.
It's off the
That's
table.
That is encouraging. When Jericho Sims has not been on the floor, they are -35. Sims has played a grand total of 18 minutes, and they are +8 in those minutes. I am not saying that you should always follow plus minus. It's not that simple. I'm not. I understand garbage time and all the other dynamics. I get it. What I am telling you is like these coaches that just Doc's entire thing is, well, no, we don't need to change the starters. We just need to play better. Okay. Maybe you should just shift it to where you don't put them in a position where they decide the game. And when they play better, you can put them back into a position where they decide the game. But God. So Little, I'm curious as your thoughts on this because you're much more of a like get these guys out of here with most teams that are usually down 0-2. And for good reason. Again, 95% of the time, get those teams out of here. But I talked about the recency bias and buy and low. What are your thoughts on Bucks Pacers and where the market is at?
Matt Moore, Michael Fiddle, and I had a lovely Buckets live as the playoff odds opened. I bet two things on open. Clippers to beat the Nuggets +160, a ridiculous number that was opened and hung up on the board. And then I immediately took over 5.5 games in Bucks Pacers with the opportunity of Dame coming back. It was -140. I took over 5.5 games. I have hedged. I'm worried as the initial thought. And I hedged on the Pacers winning the series 4-1 at +240. That's kind of my still vulnerable hedge to a sweep on it going over or under 5.5 games. So I'm still exposed on over 5.5. I still make a little profit if it does go 6 games, but I am extremely worried. I think all the things you laid out, BA, and whatever bias you want to call it, they look completely outmatched in every sense. There have been stretches in both of these games in the second half where Milwaukee tightened it up, but and it even got to 3 in game 2, but it never got closer than 3. They never were able to take a lead because they were blowing defensive coverages and giving up wide open 3-point links to Pascal Siakam. It went from 3 to 6, and they never sniffed the game again. So defensively is my massive worry for Milwaukee because it seems like they have absolutely no answers on stops at any possession. There hasn't been and when they have gotten quote unquote stops, it's been more Pacers missing shots. Not that was a great defensive possession by the Milwaukee Bucks. So that is my biggest worry. I felt obligated to hedge out a little bit on that 4-1. I don't think Milwaukee gets swept. I think it's actually a really good hedge on 4-1 with the Pacers. I think there's a real chance, though, that this can go Milwaukee, Pacers back in Indiana to close it out in this series to go 5 games. Giannis has been really good. Bobby has been really good, especially in game 2. I'm not worried about Giannis. That's always been the case. And even you said it, Matt Moore. I like my Bucks ticket more if Dame wasn't coming back. Trying to conform him back into the rotation to get things going was always going to be a little bit of an issue, especially defensively. But so Matt's this is why you need to watch this on YouTube. Matt's waving didn't say he said that. It was some form of that. But either way.
No, I said it. I was just dumb. Like
yes,
I got called out by Ryan, and Brandon, thank you for nodding, jackass. Ryan Russillo called me out on the Bill Simmons podcast, thankfully without using my name. So I appreciate Russillo not just sending legions to call me dumb. They need his offense. I wish they didn't. I don't understand that Doc can't design a better offense. Like Brandon mentioned, I don't care about these other guys, Taurean Prince, Kyle Kuzma. And I'm like, can we not put Taurean Prince in Kyle Kuzma's camp? Taurean's been a good veteran this year who's knocked down 3-point shots. But anyway, go ahead, Sean.
Yes, they need Dame on offense, but he is a turnstile on the other side, combined with a bunch of other turnstiles on the floor for Milwaukee as well. So infusing Dame isn't a big enough leap for me offensively for them to win this series against a team, guys, that we know they beat up last year in the playoffs. Multiple double-digit wins. Played extremely well against these guys in the play-in tournament as well. They've been really good against against the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you look at the roster, it's the exact same team, and then add Benedict Mather in here. And if you look at Milwaukee, remove Middleton, remove Beverly, and then you add worse players in a lot of spots across the board, Milwaukee's in trouble for my money. I think this could easily be Pacers in 5.
There you go. You have the two sides of the coin. 100-1 on the Bucks to win the East. Pacers in 5. Good range of perspectives. Lakers Wolves. Okay. I'll give you my 90-second breakdown on this series. JJ Redick came after game 1 and was like, it wasn't tactical. We just didn't play hard. And like a lot of Lakers fans, because they hate Darvin Ham, were triggered by that. And we're like, I can't believe he's saying this. This is exactly what we want to get away from. But like he was right. Like the intensity level was absolutely horrific. A lot of this gets into a very simple fact. The Wolves are generating elite offense when they are creating spot up shots, and everything else is bad. Their isolation numbers, the Wolves are generating 0.66 points per possession out of isolation. That is horrendous offense, even for isolation. It's inherently less efficient, but it is absolutely terrific. It's actually, I'm sorry, that was game 2. Game 1, the 2 games combined, the Wolves are still at 0.851. But on spot up possessions, the Wolves are generating way, 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 way better. They're generating really elite numbers on spot up possessions. 1.32, and I actually overestimated on isolation. I was using regular season numbers. The Wolves in ISO are at 0.63. If you're like, I don't know what these numbers mean, Matt, you should try and score about 1 point every possession, because that means that for every 2 possessions that you have, you make a 2-point bucket. That's not good in today's NBA. It's not good. It's really bad. But it's like, all right, you're at least like didn't fail completely. 1.2 is excellent, and that's like the standard of elite offense. 1.15 is like, hey, you're holding steady with today's modern NBA. That's pretty good. 0.6 is like throwing bricks in a trash can. And that's where they're at on isolation. In pick and roll, it's 0.61. The Wolves can't score unless they're getting spot ups. And the Lakers came out in game 2 and actually realized that. They switched LeBron James on to Naz Reid, and you had him take those minutes instead of hiding Luka there. The biggest difference in game 1 and game 2 is Jaden McDaniels turned back into Jaden McDaniels in game 2. And that's a huge part of this, is that the Wolves were able to steal game 1 behind a great game from Jaden McDaniels. They have figured out more of the stuff. I like Jackson Hayes as a rim runner offensively, but their best defense is when they're switching 1-5. They have a little few, and when you get to the adjustments and counter adjustments in the series, there's not going to be as many. That's one of the great things about switching. It's why so many teams do it. You can't counter it great. Like one of the things you can do is you can slip the big in those situations. The 2 options for the Wolves in that are slipping Rudy Gobert and slipping Julius Randle. And the Lakers will live with any offense from Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. The market right now has the Lakers minus 115. I show about 8 cents of value on this at minus 123. I might come back in on a series price depending on game 3 because it's a good Wolves spot. But Brandon, I do think that the Lakers are sitting fine here based off of after how bad game 1 was. I think it was more of an effort issue, and a lot of the tactical stuff I still think is bending a little bit towards LA.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell because game 1 and game 2 are just complete opposite, just total shellackings each way. So it's like, okay, which one was real? And what
Right.
if game 1 was game 2 and game 2 is game 1? How would we feel about the
Right.
series? But
Good
does it
point.
matter? Does it matter that the sequence came the way it did? Because is that an adjustment that's happening? Wolves in game 2, 5 of 25 on 3-pointers. As always, I care more about the denominator, the number on the bottom there. 5 is bad. 5's not good. You shot 20%. That's terrible. 25 is awful. The whole thing with the Timberwolves this year in particular is the threes math, the advantage. They don't let you take threes. They take a ton of threes and they're hitting them. 25 is like half of what they're getting in a lot of games. They also shot 46% on twos and gave up 61% on twos to the Lakers. That's also not good. The whole point of Rudy Gobert and the defense that you've built is to limit 2-point percent. Now, I will say this, Matt, you'd have the numbers better than me here. A lot of targeting Rudy in this game. A lot of Luka just like laser eyes on Rudy going at him. I thought it worked fine for Minnesota, frankly. I'm fine as a Timberwolves fan. I'm good with that outcome. Go ahead, Luka. Beat us one-on-one with Rudy. I thought Rudy held up just fine, as much as any center can in that spot. But that part of the equation is okay. It's the other easy stuff they're giving up, and it's the fact that they can't score right now in game two. And do they have an adjustment? Because Lakers won the first quarter 34-15. They just immediately come out and blow the doors off. I'm on Lakers first half. I'm like, sweet, we're done here. We got the cash. The Wolves really were as good or better the rest of the game after that. Now, is that fair? I don't know, because you're playing from behind by 20. But the Wolves arguably have been as good or better for 7 of 8 quarters now. And they did push the Lakers there and force LeBron and Luka and the guys to get some extra mileage. And I think they did find some answers in the second half, and they did bring their effort and kind of like refound themselves, I think, a little bit as well. So yeah, now it's the counter to the counter. Now, what does Chris Finch have? Matt, you and I talked our last podcast before we started the actual playoffs. We both agreed this coaching matchup is the one we wanted to see most of any of the coaching matchups. Finch versus Redick. And I think you're right. Game 2, Redick got the edge. So now what's Finch have? And is there a readjustment? And what is that for game 3? And that's the hard part with capping, because where I was like, okay, here's what I found in the last game. So here's how we're playing. And the coach is like, guess what? I found that too. And I'm doing something different today. So that's what makes our job hard, but also fun.
Sean, I need like 2 minutes of thoughts on this.
Yeah, quickly. Number one, BA is perfectly right. The let's ISO Rudy Gobert has gone a little off the tracks. Like, you know what? Let's just go down and go at still one of the best defenders in the NBA, and that'll be how we make our living, is a little bit overplayed here. He's still a guy that can move his feet, and that's why he's been one of the best defenders in the NBA for a long time. So I agree with that on BA. With the overall series, I think it is difficult to tell what's going on here and how game 3 is going to go with the blowout in each way in game 1 and 2. But where I still give the Lakers the edge is if the game gets tight, I just like the Lakers and what they're able to do offensively and what they can create in the half court. I think what you laid out with the numbers in the beginning on spot up offense, Matt, plays to that. If this series gets tight in a couple games, which it unequivocally will, just because it's the NBA playoffs, I trust LeBron and Luka and those guys coming down the stretch, being able to create a lot more opportunities for either themselves or other guys in the half court. So yeah, I still like the Lakers in this series to win it, no matter how many games it goes.
Part of this is like, oh, the Lakers played much better tactically and all these types of things in game 2. You know what also happened? The Wolves were like, we got the split. We're fine.
Yep. And we talked about that really quick, Matt. I hit up Matt and I wanted to get some numbers on what's the ATS and the straight up numbers. If you're the underdog and you're on the road and you win game 1, it's slanted so much in favor of the team that is the home court advantage. And I have the number right here for anybody that's missed it. So since 2003, teams that are 1-0 that do not have home court advantage, they're the underdog, a lower seed in the series. After they win game 2, after they can win game 1, in game 2, they are 22-80 straight up, 40-61-1 ATS, and that trend fit with the Lakers winning game 2 and the Rockets winning game 2. So yeah, we split, job's done, let's get back home. And then on the flip side, it's complete desperation mode and a quote unquote must win. And it tends to slant the game pretty good.
Do some best bets. Before we get there, I do need to let you know about how great Tommy John is. So yesterday I needed to get a workout in. I popped on my Tommy John's t-shirt, and I just like I'm running on the treadmill and I'm thinking about how comfortable this t-shirt is. I really am. I'm just like distracted by the fact that this t-shirt is so comfortable. I almost fall off the treadmill because of how comfortable it is. That's not I didn't make that up. That actually happened. We mentioned at the top of the show we're coming to you from the Tommy John home studios. That's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John's makes the greatest. Whether it's their boxer briefs, their pajama pants, which by the way you can get them in that black and gray camo, which makes me feel like Bubba Ray Dudley, which is amazing. When you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast and you love our crew, you're going to love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% at TommyJohn.com/buckets. Coming up, we're going to get to your Tommy John Ballsy Parlay of the week. It's going to be pretty straightforward and, pretty angled on to what we're talking about here. Let's do best bets. Let's start Brandon Anderson. Brandon Anderson, what are your best bets for Friday in the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, a lot of half plays for me today. I'm going to start with the first game, Magic, first half, +1.5 against the Celtics. And then similar play, Bucks first half, taking the two home teams, -2.5 for Bucks first half against the Pacers. And then in the Timberwolves, I'm going to flip to the second half. Give me Wolves second half, -1 against the Lakers. And then I'll have an escalator and a couple of props on that one.
All right. Sean Little, what are your best bets for Friday?
Bucks Pacers over 229.5 live right now at DraftKings as we record this on Thursday at 2:42 Eastern.
I will tail Brandon. I'm sorry, Brandon, on his first half bets. And then I'm going to be on Magic plus 185 is the best number in the market right now. It's moving. This actually number is moving a little bit back towards Orlando after bumping up towards Boston. So I'm going to be at plus 185 on Orlando. I cannot get myself to pull the trigger on Bucks. I want to, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. I also don't like the number at 5, so I will not be doing that. And then Timberwolves, I have to lay the wood here on the full game with a -3. We'll go back on that in the first half with our ballsy parlay, but I can't get there on this number where this is Wolves -3, and I just think that that's a little disrespectful to Minnesota's home court in this situation. I make this -6. So I have to I gotta lay the number here with Minnesota. I'll be on -6 there. I'll have some total plays and some prop plays as well, which I'll have more on these tonight on Buckets Live, which you can catch at 10:30 Eastern on youtube.com/the Action Network. Make sure to check that out as well. This is recording on Thursday, so if you're listening Thursday, listening on Friday night, Buckets Live on Sunday. The cap real quick here. Brandon, give me the good juicy trends for these first half plays.
Yeah, so it's going to be the same trends for both of these. So listen closely, so we don't have to go over them twice. So these are game 3 specific trends, and there's two different ones. So start with Magic, first half, +1.5. Teams that are going home down 0-2 for game 3. So we've talked about that a lot. Since 2006, now books have caught on to this. It's slowly moving away. You can't just play the full game anymore. It's baked into the full game. It's starting to get baked into the half lines also. Those half lines are not what I want them to be. But home game 3 down 0-2 since 2006, just in the first half, 91, 48, and 1 against the spread. 66%. That's 2/3 of the time you're covering. And here's one that's not for down 0-2, just home game 3. So again, you're coming home after you lost game 2 by more than 5 points. So you might be 1-1, you might be 0-2, doesn't matter. Either way, since 2006, just first half, 108, 59, and 6. 65% against the spread. So either way, effectively what those trends are telling you is this, and I'm sure there's a lot of overlap in those two. We got embarrassed on the road in game 2. We didn't show up. Now we're home. And what happens at home, guys? It's not just the crowds roaring. What happens at home is your role players play better. In the playoffs, where it's tough, what happens at home is the Magic find more than 2 guys that can put the orange thing into the rim and make some points. I don't know who it's going to be, but they'll find somebody. That's what happened last year. Their home points were way different than the road points in the Cavs series. So far, Both Magic games have basically been the same. And I'm calling them Magic games, not Celtics game, because it's a Magic pick. 49-48 at halftime, Magic lead. Boston goes on a big run in the third quarter, pulls away. 50-47 at halftime, Boston leads. Without Tatum, Boston goes on a third quarter run, pulls away. So both games, we have a close game till the half. Boston goes on a third quarter run, sayonara. Now we're at home in Orlando. We're still catching a point and a half. If you want to just do the money line, that's not quite the trend, but you're going to get a pretty similar price, I think, anyways. So that's the Magic play. And I want to ask you guys, I always want the escalator. So I have a couple escalator ideas on this real quick. See what you think. If you don't believe in the Magic past the first half, Magic first half, Celtics full time. So Magic have to lead at halftime but lose the game 5-1 at FanDuel. I don't hate that. Again, we've basically seen that script and it hit in one of the games so far. Or if you're kind of thinking under because these teams suck and can't score any points and where's the offense and this series is terrible to watch, race to 50 first half and DraftKings is plus 280 for neither. We've only had 150 in the half. We had a 50, 49, 48, 47 so far. Neither is plus 280, or you can go to neither to 45 is 10-1 at DraftKings. Which of those escalators do you like better to my Magic first half angle? Sean, you nod your head. Which one do you like?
Neither to 50 in the first half, I think is the best escalator purely because if Orlando is going to compete, it would be on the defensive end to slow down Boston, and they're offensively so limited that would be the side that, I mean, they're going to be hard pressed to score 50 plus in a wide open game, right? So I think if they're competing, they'd be slowing down Boston, and that would be the escalator that I lean to.
I think I agree with Sean. I think it's like the Magic need this to be an ugly. I just how shall they score? How can they score at all?
Yeah.
I agree with Sean.
All right, let me just jump in with the Bucks angle because it's basically the exact same angle. So again, home game 3 down 0 to 66% ATS just in the first half. For that specific trend, I repeated, even though I said I wouldn't, because Bucks Pacers is a 4-5 series. In just 4-5 series games, the 5 seed coming home now, 30 and hit rate. That's like the best of any of the series matchups, which again checks out logically. These are the two teams of any matchups that should be the closest, so they should be able to flip it when they come home. That same game 3 after a 6+ loss, that actually works for all 3 of these games today, if you like it for the first half. And again, I think the Bucks are playing for their future here. They're playing to keep Giannis around. They've got to show up with something here. I don't know what they do defensively. Quite frankly, I know I just gave out Bucks 100-1. Sean, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Like I got Pacers in 5 or 6. I think we're done here. I'm just going to take the long number. So that's Pacers. That's the 2 first halves.
So, Brandon, from my perspective, from the way I think about these things, I wind up with the idea that the seeding matters because the 8 seeds are going to be underrated because the 1 seed won the most games and they were the most dominant, and there's an overvaluation in the market of the 1 seeds. And like a 4 or 5, I actually think that what winds up happening is there's kind of an overestimation of the 5s, which is counter to what my perception of things, but the numbers kind of bear this out. I have some stuff on this game 3 spot that's seed determinative that I'll share. But like, I want to just ask you, is the sample just too small at that point to be able to take meaningful things away from it? Like, do you care about the seeding impacts if I share some of the seeding stuff with you?
No, I do, because normally, you're right. Normally, the 7 and 8 seeds are usually the better underdog trends. Like in any of these underdog trends, normally the 7 and 8s pop better because normally they're like 8-point, 10-point, 12-point dogs. That's why that was notable that in this specific one, the 4-5s actually pop better. But yeah, playoffs are a small sample. Now we're making a trend that's a smaller sample. Now we're picking only a seed. Like it's tiny sample here. We're doing our best.
This is what's weird. So I started on the full game level, and I wanted to see if you covered in game 2, how do you do in game 3? You lost down 0-2, but you covered. And I wanted to kind of see like what that looked like. And the numbers based off of the seeding were really, really weird. If you covered game 2, but you lost, and you're a 7 seed, 2-10 straight up, 2-10 against the spread. If you're an 8 seed, it's 9-7 straight up in game 3, 11-5 ATS. And like the sample size matters here. This is since 2003. Like you're absolutely right. The sample size matters here. I went to Bet Labs and I looked at your O2 and its first half. What's the number for the seeds? And you're right. 4 seeds are 17, 8, and 1. 5 seeds are 17 and 7. That's Bucks. 8 seeds, that's Heat on Saturday. 18 and 12 at plus 15% ROI. 7 seeds are just 14 and 12. 2.2% ROI. It's weird. It's weird. It doesn't make sense to me. And like that's why Brandon, this is a thing where Brandon in our chats would be like, you're again with the sample size. And he's right. It's just like something that bugs me, or I'm like, what, why isn't this trend? Why are the differences so stark here, even in a small sample for the 8 and the 4 and the 5 versus the 7? And it's probably just noise. It's just something weird to think about. I don't disagree with the play. I'm going to tell you again, I'm sorry, but I think that discrepancy with the sevens versus these other ones is really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I basically agree with that. I don't have much more to add. The sample is so small that like we could go 1 year from now, add in the data from this year, and now the sample weirds out in a different direction, and that's the problem. But again, we only have the data we have. We're doing the best we can.
Yeah. Sean, over 229.5, Bucks Pacers. Talk to me.
In a perfect world, if you ask Doc Rivers their path to game 3 victory, he would pound the table, I'm sure, and say, we're going to get better on defense and we're going to get stops. Stops. I don't think they're capable of getting stops against this team. I think their path to competing and victory is offensively taking it up a notch. They will have to have a 40-point quarter in this game, I believe, to go ahead and get the W at home. And it's flat out what's been happening in game 1 and 2. No resistance offensively from Milwaukee. And the reason these runs, mini runs, especially in the second half, have gone positive for Milwaukee is not because they're getting stops. It's not because they're forcing stops, I should say. It's more Indiana missing shots. Let's talk about the starters from game 2. Giannis, Dame, Lopez, Prince, Kuzma. Small sample size to go back to that, but I mean, it checks out for a lot of the minutes as Dame has been on the floor all year long. 135 defensive rating for that starting 5 in game 2. Then, okay, let's talk about the 5 guys that played the most minutes. Portis, Kuzma, Trent Jr., Dame, Giannis. 155.6. Only 10 minutes together on the floor, but they got absolutely torched. And I'm not sure I need to see more than 10 minutes of that 5 together. And then if you go back and talk about the bench lineup that played mostly in game 1 because Dame was out, AJ Green played 27 minutes in game 1. He only played 12 in game 2 with the addition of Dame. But Portis, Trent Jr., Porter Jr., Green, Giannis, defensive rating is 121.7. So they just defensively, I don't think, have any answers for what the Pacers want to do. And then God forbid Tyrese Halliburton has a really crisp game. I think offensively, they're still going to have a really hard time slowing up Indiana. Game 1, opened 226, closed 228, went under. Bucks didn't break 100 because it was Giannis, and Giannis only Dame wasn't around. They really missed him. Dame comes back in the fold. Game opens 226 and a half, closed 229. They scored 238 combined. That goes over. This opens 229 and a half and hasn't moved. I have supreme confidence that overall the Pacers offensively will continue to produce. And I think back in Milwaukee offensively with Dame being the second game back in the fold, I think they have a better game offensively. I think this is like a 120, 115 type of game and goes over 229 and a half.
It's a great cap. That's a really good cap by Sean Little. I like that a lot. For me, this is pretty simple. Wolves minus 3.5 here. Like I said, I make this 5. I make this 6. I don't understand why the Wolves are not favored by more here. It's not a matter of like I get the matchup stuff. Like I've talked about this, but the Wolves at home, I'm making a few adjustments for playoff home court power rating. I'm actually doing some more research on this. Even if I take that down a notch, I don't get to a point where I don't like this number. The Wolves, I think it was very likely here, even though I kind of still like the Lakers to win the series. This to me reeks of they steal game one, the Lakers come back and win game two because the Wolves are just like, whatever, we got the split. The Wolves come out in game three, punch them in the mouth. There's an overreaction in the market. I can grab Lakers again at that point. Lakers win 4-5-6. That would not shock me in any sort of capacity. This going seven would also not shock me because the Wolves are pretty resilient. But I do like the Wolves a lot here in game three. I don't think the Wolves have necessarily. I don't think the Lakers have shown so much that it's like they've solved them. We're still very much up in the air, and it's pretty thin. This is a close series the way it should be. This is not. I don't think it's gonna be Wolves stomp them. And I don't think it's going to be Lakers run all the way over them. I think it's going to be a close series. It's going to be decided by a handful of moments, but I still can't get to a place where I think that the Wolves should only be -3.5 here. That's too much of a. The reality, honestly, is, and I took the Lakers in the series for matchup reasons, but one of the things, and Brandon was on Wolves, and one of the things that he was right on was I got too far in the weeds, imagine me, about the matchups versus looking at the power rating, because the power rating is like, no, the Wolves are slightly better. Like the Wolves I have power rated, if I don't start making nonsense adjustments based off of narrative, are the second best team in the Western Conference. They deserve that kind of respect here. So I'm going to bet them in game three. All right, so that's my play on Timberwolves versus Lakers. I'm taking the Wolves -3.5. Brandon Anderson, you have a really interesting cap here. You like the Wolves second half?
I do like the Wolves second half, and not even every book has this. This one is at DraftKings. It's -1, -110 on the number. I only even seen that at that book so far. So look, Timberwolves first half fits the trend I gave out on the first two games, one of the two. The Timberwolves are not down 0-2, but they are down after losing game two by 6 or more points. So that would be a first half trend. But Matt, we talked about this before the series. This to me has always been a Lakers first half, Timberwolves second half series from the regular season. Lakers first half net rating +6.9, second half -4.7. Timberwolves from the regular season +7.8 in the second half, including at home +13.2. They've been really, really good at home. The Lakers have not been good on the second half anywhere, and this has played out. Look at the game so far. First game, Timberwolves +11 in the first half. They're up big. They're up even bigger. They put the game away. Second game, talked about that big first quarter for the Lakers. Timberwolves push back. Timberwolves +6 in the second half. So 2-0 by 6-11. How about the regular season? 4-0 in the second half against the Lakers in regular season by 2, 4, 6, and a 17 in there. So in 6 games this season, Timberwolves second halves are 6-0 by 7.7 points a game. So if you can't play the second half, you could just wait and bet live. That's your way to play second half. And what I like too, what I'm hoping for here is either the Timberwolves are up and they push the lead even further, because the Lakers so far this season have been a team that either is winning at halftime and then they win, or they don't come back. We talked about that as well. Or, like game two, the Lakers are ahead, but the Timberwolves respond finally and make that second half push, like we got the game two script. So far this season, the Lakers have as many wins as losses by double digits. They have 22 losses this season by double digits, and these teams play again Sunday afternoon. 39 hours after this game ends, LeBron, 40-year-old LeBron's got to play again. Luka and all the guys who just got pushed. And I think the end of game two, when Minnesota made a push, I think they may have set themselves up for this second half push in game three. The depth, the younger legs, hopefully less foul trouble from Nas and DiVincenzo and those guys. We'll see. You never know with the fouls, but it is at home game. So I like Timberwolves second half to make that push. And if you think it could get away, the Lakers would have interest at some point in resting legs for the very quick turnaround, their fastest turnaround of the series. So at DraftKings, second half -5.5 escalator +185. Timberwolves are 4-2 to that number in the second half against the Lakers this season. +185 we get. 10 points or more second half win is +331. The highest I can find is -11.5 +449. I'm taking the escalator all the way up. I think we can get there even if the Timberwolves don't win this game. Just a second half play. So it's not a system play, It's a Brandon play. Timberwolves second half -1 and the escalator. What do you think?
I love it. That's great. I think it's an absolutely terrific angle. There's also like a strong possibility that this is like Lakers come out desperate, fired up, get the like they're up, like you said, they're up 20 at halftime, and it's like, oh, okay, we're moving ahead to game four. And then the Wolves make a huge run in the second half and get this down to single digits. Like that to me
Right.
is
Well,
very,
and
very,
two,
very
the
possible.
Lakers have older players and have more interest, I think, in calling off the dogs and waiting until Sunday if they're losing. The Timberwolves know that, and so they would have incentive to push even if they're losing, and still to push and tear out LeBron and the guys like they did in game two to set themselves up for game four, try to find some answers. I think it works both ways. Series prop on this one also. Assist leader. This one is really interesting. Julius Randle is our assist leader right now with 11, but it's really tight. Julius has 11, Luka and LeBron have 10, Ant has 9, and then Reeves has 8. So we got five guys. The five guys we all knew would be in here. Sorry to Mike Conley. These five guys from 8 to 11. I like two guys here. I'm going to play both of them. Ant is 25 to 1 at DraftKings. Ant had 9 assists in game one, and he has 9 assists for the series. Let me help you with the math. None in game two. Guess what? That's why they lost by 1 billion points. But look at the potentials. In game one, he had 11. His teammates made him 9 times. In game two, he had 9. Pretty much the same thing. His teammates made none of them. 0, none. Okay, even it out a little bit. He's leading the series in potential assists right now. Julius Randle's went up in game two from 6 to 14. If you prefer him, he's like 16 to 1. I don't prefer Julius Randle at really anything in life. Ant is leading in potentials at 10 to 1. Austin Reeves has had 8 potentials in both games. He's at 8. I don't think Austin is going to get this one home, but he's close. He's only behind by 3. And if it's not Randle, he's only behind by 2. And Austin Reeves is 100 to 1. So again, just on the number alone, I have to play Austin Reeves to like stay in the mix and maybe give me some options here. So I'm going to play them both. LeBron's actually last in potentials of these five guys. I don't think it's LeBron. Maybe Luka keeps hunting Gobert. And what are we left with? Our two guys. Ant 25 to 1 and Reeves 100 to 1 for assist leader.
Okay, good stuff. Let's do a ballsy parlay from Tommy John's. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the first half plays from the 3 games and we're going to put them together. I know that Brandon prefers the second half, but we're going to do first half for the ballsy parlay. So we're going to do money lines here. Magic plus 120, Bucks minus 230, Wolves minus 150. The home teams take the first half of all games. They win. They are leading at the half of all game threes. That gets us the plus 426 at bet 365. That's pretty good. So we're going to play the numbers here based off of these. Again, the Magic one makes me the most nervous based off of these trends that say that the 7 seeds are not great in this spot, but we're going to ignore, we're going to lean on small sample, take the bigger sample, and we're going to go towards Magic, Bucks, Wolves. We will make that the ballsy parlay at plus 426. I would also suggest we can't log this in the app. Round robin, not a bad call on these, is just take the round robin on these. And maybe throw in Wolves second half as well. Like Brandon's likely to win one of these halves. So we'll see where we get to on that. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll see you guys again next time. Until next time, get buckets.